Yo, that's crazy. Yo, what for you, man? Like, was it about you think you and Pac meeting, doing that weed deal that you guys were able to kind of catch a vibe and fuck with each other?
Yeah, it was trippy because he was making music, but he wasn't making the kind of music we was making. You know, 415 was like gangster hip hop. And Pac was more on the Black Power thing. He had the Brenda's Got a Baby out.
More conscious shit, yeah.
Yeah, but we locked up because we like fucking with broads, you know what I mean? And we started going to clubs and hanging out and shit like that. So we became homies way before we even thought about doing any music. And I remember he was like, man, I want to do some music with you too. And I was like, well, man, you on the Black Power shit. We on the gangster shit. He's like, no, I got some shit. Like, so when we just kind of started fucking around. It wasn't even music-wise, you know what I mean? Just hanging out, smoking.
You guys were just out partying.
Going to clubs, partying like that.
Getting the hoes together.
Yeah, getting the hoes together. And then one thing led to another. And the first record we did was that one produced by Warren G, Lie to Kick It. And then from there, we was just locked in, you know what I mean? So I was taking him around the town. Money B and them had him. And they were showing him some shit, but then I started showing him some other shit, you know what I mean? And I remember Money B just did an interview. I seen him. Money was like, well, we was running with Pac, but then once he got with Rich and Gov, it was some whole other shit, because, you know, we was in the street.
Yeah.
You know, and I just had him under my wing, dude. He was just a young dude, smooth, cool. I didn't know he was going to end up like the nigga he ended up being, you know what I mean? I couldn't see it on him, to be honest with you. But,
I mean, you hear he was like obviously a complex guy, like a kind of, and I think all greats are like contradictory in nature.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
You would hear Pac loved women, he loved to party. You also heard he had hands.
Right.
But he was also very much like a revolutionary who was, you know, fighting the good fight. Like, you know, I feel like that era of Tupac, you know, I feel like it's not as talked about, like him running around the Bay Area, you know, doing his thing.
Yeah, it was layers. It was layers to him. He was a different kind of individual. And I remember following him down to L.A. and he was shooting all the movies and shit. You know, he was shooting the Poetic Justice, and I'm like, this nigga over here with Janet Jackson. Like,
yo, shit's different all of a sudden.
Yeah, it's different. Like, you know, he was just moving. And I had never really seen it like that, because we was just on an independent level. You feel me?
Right.
So I had never seen it like that. And
did you guys ever get any squabbles together, like with, like, you know, maybe leaving a club?
No, you know what? We had a little issue in San Francisco one night at a club called The Stone, but we didn't actually get into a squabble. Some niggas was throwing some shit on stage, some water bottles, and I remember Pac picked up the mic stand and kind of jabbed it down at a dude, but it wasn't no altercation. There was a story that surfaced like something happened in that club, but it never really jumped off like that. But no, when I was with him, because, like, when I was moving around in Oakland, we wasn't having no issues like that. So everything was smooth. I just was kind of showing him the ropes, you know, and not trying to show him the dope game, because that's what I was dealing with. But just kind of showing him just the city, you know what I mean? And he was giving me the slang and the shit that he was speaking from where he was coming from. And I was like, bro, it's different up here. So we really just was smoking and fucking with bitches. That was it.
Tell me about, so Rather Be is like, was one of my favorite Tupac songs ever. I think it's like one of the, I mean, people love that song. It's a classic. But your guys' little interaction in the beginning, like your little back and forth, like, was that like a natural one take, or did you guys rehearse that?
No, it was one take, and it's crazy. If you listen to that record, they beeped a word out. Like I said, this is for the honeys, the super saucies, but they beep saucy out. I don't know what they thought that meant or something, but no. So I came in the studio and Pac was like, Rich, he said, he had just finished up writing the song. He went in and laid the verses, and he came out. He said, man, we need to do something for the bitches. I said, what you want to do? He said, I don't know, just some shit like, you know, some player shit, like how we fuck with it. Like, you know, I don't want to be your man. I just want to be your nigga type shit. I was like, all right. So then I think Johnny J or somebody produced that beat. They pulled the beat up, and we was fucking around, and he just started writing. So we sitting right next to each other. He writing, and he looking over, what you got? Come on, man, come on. So I'm like, spit your shit. So he wrote one verse hella fast. He went in there and he spit it for me right in front of me. So I said, okay, well, I can lead off of that. You know, well, you could ride out with Spoke, because he was talking about whining and dining a bitch. You know, so then I said, well, you could ride out with Spoke Coat to get your lobster and crab, because all I got is, I'm just finna dick you down. You feel me? So we went from there. He heard that. Then he spread off of what I said at the end of my verse. And that shit just came to, dude, we did that song in probably 10 minutes, bro.
That's crazy.
We wrote that song in like 10 minutes, bro. And it's crazy when we went there and laid it, and then he had Eb come sing on the hook. Once the song was done and we sat back, he was like, nigga, this that shit right here. And I mean, it turned out to be a classic record. That's still like a lot of people's favorite.
Yeah, no, for sure. Women love that record.
Love it.
Especially a certain, like growing up as a kid in Phoenix, surrounded by Latinas.
Right.
A certain specific type of lovely Mexican woman pops into my head when I think of that song.
Right. Come on. Y'all got the baddest ones, though. Come on.
Yo, so you obviously, man, coming from the, what are your thoughts? Because, you know, the weed game, I'm sure when you were growing up, right, in the Bay, because it's always been like Northern California's got the best weed.
Right. Everybody
from all over the country at a certain point in time, not to say that they still don't, but for the most part, like you would hear like a lot of people's plugs would be up north, right?
Right.
Is it kind of crazy to just see like the pack culture become so like, I wouldn't necessarily say it's mainstream,
bro,
but it's just kind of crazy like that, like, you know, like shipping a pound of weed in the mail is like not that crazy anymore.
Right.
Like, even if it gets caught up in the mail, like you probably ain't gonna hear about it if it's like 1 or 2 packs, like, to be fair.
Yeah, we came up moving white. So when weed was always secondary to white, it didn't make money like that. People always smoked it. Back then, it was only 2 kind of weeds. It was Indo and Thai stick.
Which is crazy.
So when the weed game got to where people was pitching out of state and getting tons of money for the shit, I couldn't believe that you could make more money with weed than you could with the white. Yeah. I was like, it don't make sense. But I saw people doing it. But then, like you say, once the legalization came in, I remember my first time walking in a cannabis club in Oakland, and I just felt uncomfortable in there. Because it was like old ladies and shit in there buying weed. Like, you see like your auntie, grandma, because she come in, she picking her shit out. Yeah. And I was tripping, bro. I was like, this shit don't even seem real. And like now, I wanted to bring some weed down here with me. But just the D-boy in me, yeah, I can't erase the fact that they're going to run through my bag and take me to jail. It still don't seem real to me. But like you said, I know motherfuckers who just put weed in their carry-on.
Oh, for sure.
And scan it and roll it.
Yeah. I've gone through TSA and I've seen them move my weed out of the way to pull a microphone out and be like, oh, it's just a mic, and then put it back. And just it's obviously weed. Like,
man, I went to New York, dude, and didn't take no weed. And
you didn't need to. If you went recently, you didn't need to take any weed because it's everywhere.
Hey, the hotel I stayed at right across the street, they had like it looked like it was a smoke shop, right?
Yeah.
So I walked in, I said, man, y'all sell weed? He's like, no, we just got the little pipes and zags and all the shit. So I bought some raw papers, some vibes.
Yeah, shout out to Vibes.
Burner would be mad at me talking about raw papers.
Sorry, fuck with them vibes.
Sorry, Burn. Yeah, I bought some vibes. And then when I'm walking, I said, man, y'all don't know where I can get no weed from? And the dude was looking at me, and then he was like, where you live at? I said, California. He's like, all right, I got some weed. I said, what you got? So he whispered something to his man. His man went out the front door. Took him about 5-6 minutes. He came back with a bag, had all type of apes. I was like, damn, okay. Because I remember having to go to Branson to buy the weed, you know, and I remember.
New York, they used to not fuck around.
Yeah, and the weed it wasn't all that good, you know. But
they're doing full sessions. Like if you go to Central Park, there's dudes just with fold-up tables with just
this weed. Yeah.
If you go to like bodegas, they got shrooms on display.
Right.
I'm like, what the fuck is going on in New York?
It's going down.
I think we were there the week it got legalized, and it was like a flip switched. It was crazy.
Instantly.
It was just wild.
From nothing to everything, just like that.
And it's like early like Cali legalization days where it's kind of the wild, wild west still.
Right.
You know, so yeah, New York's wild right now, dude. It's pretty crazy.